Hey, I'm live on YouTube. Welcome to my viewer slash listener. My name is Jim McElvain. I played at Marquette University in beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And then I played, no, shoot, I got to hook up my microphone. I didn't hook up my mic. Do that. Fire up this guy right here. Probably should have done this before I started recording, but I don't think I have nobody watching yet. Good. So if you've DVR'd a game, you can skip through this, and we'll give you a heads up with times and stuff like that to let you know where we're at. Now I got to find the audio recording on my phone. I've already started the live stream. Hey, it's Mike Kinsella. Look at that. Another former Marquette player.
There he is.
This is the microphone.
Great.
I think it's working. You can test it on your iPhone device or your iPad if you want.
Sure. Where do I go?
It's on YouTube. Search Jim McElvain.
You think it's a smart idea to connect to your Wi-Fi or not?
Yeah, you can. Everything seems to be going okay. I'm just trying to find. It's not that one. Audio?
I'm assuming the AT&T.
No.
The remote server 17.
Yeah. Hillary Clinton remote server number 17 is.
If you type in passwords, put it on simulcast.
It is. Let's see.
In case anyone wants to drive by and hook up to your Wi-Fi.
Sorry. See how that works. PBS Kids, because that's the only stuff we like to let the kids watch. So I'm going to turn that on airplane mode. And apparently there's charter. They fly commercial. I don't know how you rationalize that in this day and age. Attract the top, and you can't attract the top talent if you're flying commercial. And coaches can't go having a Twitter back and forth. I think Jeff Eisenberg or something like that was talking about UCLA, and I've written about it before. I believe in the post-ESPN era, West Coast schools are a distinct recruiting advantage and have been. And this Arizona fan's like, oh yeah, except for Arizona because we had the number one recruiting class. We've been in the top 5 recruiting classes the last 4 years. And I said, okay, how many of those recruiting classes would you trade for one national championship? Because you have 3 national championships, not Arizona. Everybody on the West Coast since John Wooden retired. And Wooden retired like what, 75? And ESPN came on around 79 or 80. And I think that changed the dynamic because you used to be able, as a West Coast school, to go back east and get Lou Alcindor out of New York. And it didn't really matter because games weren't on TV. But now everybody's games are on TV. And it didn't, even when ESPN was starting, it was like the Big East suddenly the tide turned because now the Big East had this relationship with ESPN and all these games are going to be on. Everybody saw the ESPN show on it. And it's progressed to the point where even the smaller schools, all their games are televised somewhere. But it's hard to ask somebody's family and friends that are 3 hours time difference to stay up till all hours of the night watching them play out on the West Coast.
They just don't get the Sports Center notoriety, I think, too. And one of my favorite things when I was in high school was staying up late and watching some of the West Coast games just because there was good talent out there. It was fun, and It was when Arizona was really good back in the they won in 97.
97 with Damon Stoudemire, right?
Yes.
97.
Stoudemire and like Miles Simon and those guys. Maybe Bibby maybe on that.
So UCLA won once.
Yep.
Arizona won once, and UNLV won once. and that's it for the West Coast since John Wooden returned. Now, granted, there's a lot fewer schools out west than there is back east, but and UCLA had kind of an unusual streak going, but there's no excuse for that. So, one thing I want to mention, we have a chat function available here as we're hitting the 10-minute mark. And so if you want to ask questions or something, you can type on the right-hand side there. And look at everything since I hit the, the internet on that one. Everything's back to normal. We're back on HD.
Is this where the game is on?
Yeah.
Is it FS1 or?
Yeah.
Oh, so
Virginia Tech won.
I guess coverage isn't starting until
6 o'clock. So a couple minutes.
Did you watch any of the Virginia Tech game?
I didn't. Was that on? That was on today, but what channel was it on?
ESPN.
I didn't watch it. So what do you think of Buzz's team? They're apparently a really good, highly ranked team, right?
I think I wanted to say they were at 11 or 12. They look athletic. They look tough. I mean, just kind of like what a lot of Buzz's teams were here. I haven't watched them play enough to really formulate an opinion on them one way or the other. Tough conference. They do not shoot corner threes, apparently. I don't remember that from the Buzz era. We should ask our friend Jake Thomas.
I mentioned it to him on the phone today, and he kind of chuckled. So there's got to be something to it. And you sent me a screenshot, and nobody was looking to shoot from the corner.
There's nobody in the corners when I was watching for 2 minutes.
We could probably check shot charts
We should.
on CBS Sports and see if they've got any. Just
Let's see if I can find them.
Just a look. But yeah, because that's a heck of a thing to expose your team to offensively if everybody knows you're not going to pull from the corner. I mean, it's not like it's the death knell of your team offensively, but it's just one less thing you have to worry about on defense if you know those guys aren't going to pull up from the corner.
I'd like to know how many linear feet of the 3-point line would he block off in practice and say you can't shoot from here. So it's like if you have 5 or 6 feet of corner, what percentage of the 3-point line are you taking?
It seemed like there was a white taped off square in each corner, and I don't know if that was the reason why or if there was some other reason they had it there, but it seemed like 4 or 5 minutes, or 4 or 5 feet that it covered in that corner, like 4 by 5, something like that.
They're in round 5. We're currently watching boxing right now on FS1, and I'm starting to question if round 5 of 12 this is going to be the.
It's supposed to be on FS1, right? What are we going to do here with this?
Did you have it on pause earlier?
I might have. Let's see.
Jim's new to YouTube TV now. And
I'm currently watching this program. The pizza showed up. All right then. Is this cheese and sausage?
There we go. Now we're
tip off.
There we go.
Yeah, we didn't miss a thing.
And we won the tip. Very exciting. Thank you.
Yep. And I feel bad for those of you from Racine who are familiar with the pizza here. It's phenomenal. Best pizza I've had anywhere. Oh, this is. Oh, what this one? No, this is all messed. Oh, that's all that's left. All right then. This is pineapple. That's sausage. And this is onion and tomato. So did you watch any of the St. John? Uh-oh. That's not good. Set play.
And who missed it? Who? We don't even know who made. We're worried about our pizza. We don't know who made Marquette's first 3.
But that's one of those plays that teams run every time they're we're going to run this play first time down, and you can't get away with it for the rest of the game. So you always try to run it the first time.
First 5 possessions scripted probably.
Did you play up in Queens?
I did not. We never played St. John's in they were in our conference for 2 years. My first year being in Conference USA, but we never played a road game at St. John's. We played St. John's in Madison Square Garden during the Big East tournament, but never an actual road game.
It's a small gym.
Mhm.
It's smaller than the Al McGuire Center, and
Really?
yeah, Marquette couldn't play in something. I mean, they can't play in the Al. It's too small. I mean, they did during the NIT tournament, but for a regular season game, when you have season ticket holders, it's too small. Did you watch any of the St. John's Seton Hall game the other night?
I saw the most important possession that they're upset about.
They made a mistake, and they said the next day they made a mistake, but I
think-
guarantee you Mullins didn't go in the locker room and say that cost us the game. They gave it away. And that's why I think, even if they're strong at home, they'll let Marquette back into the game if Marquette finds themselves down 10 in the second half.
Yeah.
Because I just think St. John's is weak mentally. They settle for shots. Well, there's the high stepper. You know about him?
No.
Watch that official that was talking to
the official
Mullins.
is the high stepper.
Yeah. Watch him run down the court.
The guy who's talking to him now?
No. The black official, he's on the baseline right now.
Yep. What were they up against Seton Hall?
Well, they were up when I tuned in like 10 or 12. Okay, watch. Oh, they called it foul.
You can kind of see it already.
He looks like he runs through and oh, Pat D double T. Pat Driscoll's calling the game too. He's on the baseline there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have somebody that's watching. Thank you. Look at that.
This is great.
Right there.
There we go.
There's one. I appreciate you tuning in. It's like
you're the first viewer of the simulcast.
Let your name be known. On that side. Ask a question. We'll try to answer it in between mouths full of pizza.
The stage is yours for questions.
I tried to order pizza earlier, but the Racine pizzerias were closed. This is Toppers. It's not bad.
What's the best pizza in Racine?
It depends. Deep dish, I'm partial to Infusinos, although Durango's is good. And then thin crust, there's almost a war raging of people arguing between a place on the south side called Wells Brothers and Mike and Angelo's, which is also the same pizza as Bernie's. And to give you the lineage of it, Bruce's was hands down the best pizza in Racine. Well, I guess people argued Bruce's and Wells Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce's was in one of the worst neighborhoods, and the Bruce family was going to retire. They had this guy, Bernie William, younger cook, didn't have anything to give him for a severance package, so they gave him the sauce recipe. So Bernie teams up with this guy, Mike Hammis, and opens up Mike and Angelo's.
Okay.
And operates that for a while with him, and then he wants to go off on his own. And he's like, I want to open my own pizzeria in this town. Like, we got great pizzerias in this town. Why do you want to compete with all these? You should go to Janesville where there's no good pizzerias and you dominate there. You know. Yeah, Shamori Ponds had 44 last year.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was a rough game. And there I saw a St. John's fan saying Marcus Howard's not going to, when he put up the 40-some points, he's not going to do that in the Big East. It's like, well, he already put up 52.
Yeah. On the road.
And he didn't play in this game last year because he was injured.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That game was at St. John's, right?
Yeah.
He didn't play.
Yep. And so, John had a game against Buffalo where he blocked 7 shots.
Yep.
Somebody asked me on Twitter, you think he's the best shot blocker? Or him and Ed Morrow are like the second best shot blocking combination of all time at Marquette. Like, well, first of all, they never kept track of block shots during the Al McGuire era. And I'm not even sure I would be in the top with some of the guys like Jim Jones and Larry McNeely they had through there in Al's era. But after that's taken into account, and Amal and I'd probably be Faisal and I, because Faisal Abraham is a really good shot blocker, and then probably be Faisal and Amal, because those guys are both really good shot blockers. And I don't even think Theo has 75 block shots on his career. Yeah, he will. He'll be a good shot blocker if he can stay out of foul trouble. The key is playing without fouling. Challenge that many big guys have. You don't want to get Marcus Howard in foul trouble.
I'd like to see where his feet were. A 2?
I wouldn't put him down if it was 1.
Correct.
It's got to be 2.
We only have 2 fouls.
Yep.
That's a tough call. Yeah.
It's not going Marquette's way early here. St. John's fans are loving it. They had the tough loss the other day against Seton Hall. But they settled for 3 contested 3-point shots. It wasn't even like they had to heave it the last second. Yeah. They just settled. He has 10 points already. Shamari Pons. That's
11.
That's not good.
What was the worst college venue you ever played in?
Worst.
Mm-hmm.
Like in terms of the visiting fans or the facilities?
Facility and lack of atmosphere.
That's a good question. I guess in terms of the facility, we played in Fiji at I think it was a Jesuit mission. That the floor was wood, but had like nails sticking out of it. The guys walking around pounding back in with a hammer before the game, and there was dirt all over the court, and you could kind of slide around on the court. But that was in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'd have to go back and look at our schedules over the years and see which, because we played. I mean, we played at the Fog, we played at NC State, we played at Duke. We played at some pretty cool venues. We didn't play a lot of dumps. Probably the Rosemont Horizon, the All-State Center. Although it was a nice home away from home because it was cheaper and better seats for most Marquette fans they could ever get in Milwaukee.
Now they play. It's not on campus, is it?
No, but it's down by McCormick Center. It's nice.
Close. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's a big step up for DePaul, but it's the first step.
That's a tough deal, getting kids to commit to a place where students gotta, especially with All-State when that was around.
It's not just the kids. You know what these people on the West Coast miss when I talk about recruiting. Yeah. It's not just the recruiting classes of the players; it's the recruiting of the coaching staff. You know, everybody talks about this guy's got West Coast connections, blah blah blah. But are you going to be able to recruit one of the top tier coaches to UCLA if you're not chartering? If you're buried on the West Coast and nobody knows you're out there because you play late at night back east, then you won't have the same access to the top talent.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty quick fall from grace for Alfred.
Yeah, not really. When they give him 5 years?
He was there for, probably somewhere around there. But back when he passed on the Indiana job after Green got fired, and Archie Miller took the job.
Yep.
Wasn't it? It was Alfred's to take if you wanted it, and they had a really good thing going at UCLA. I might be. They were just coming off of something.
They were not happy at UCLA with they got rid of Ben Holland. They didn't like Ben Holland. Jamie Dixon would do well out there because he's from LA, but he's a Ben Holland guy, so they wouldn't like him because of that.
Yeah. I think it probably was Ben Holland to Alfred, but I feel like there might have been somebody in between. No, there couldn't have been, because Holland had Kevin Love and Westbrook and those guys.
It's a tough job.
It is.
It's And now we're talking, it was a non-correctable judgment call that we had determined was an error. But it wasn't the deciding factor for that game, like I said. There was tons of possessions where they just settled for jump shots.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't try to attack the basket, didn't try to get fouled. And they only had themselves to blame. But they came out guns ablaze, although Marquette with Marcus Howard on the bench has done well.
Yeah.
And
Tartuni hit a three.
This seems like as deep a team as I've seen at every position this year.
Nice
Just
move
watch.
by him.
Yeah, and Morrow finishes strong underneath the basket. And Theo John has a nice low post game. And if those guys are struggling or they're in foul trouble, Matt Held, who's starting forever for the team, is waiting there on the bench. He's probably lost the most minutes this season because of all the influx of talent. And that was a tough. You see the high stepper on the right side. It's so awesome. It looks like he's doing an invisible tire drill. Jamal Cain's lost some minutes.
Yeah. I think it's early in the season. It's just been tough to. It's a team that has some experience, but really doesn't have a whole lot of experience playing together. Obviously with Joey coming in, Chartoon. I mean, all these guys. Ed never having really played in a game until coming into this year with Marquette. I think they're still kind of trying to figure out the flow of it. And luckily, we are starting to figure out a little bit.
If you look at Joey and you look at Ed, those guys have been around the program for a better part of a year for Joey and a full year for Ed.
Yeah.
They're not, coming into this with just a couple months behind them.
No, but I mean, guys like having Brendan Bailey, who I think Brendan's going to be great for us.
Oh, yeah.
Just having not played for 2 years, I think is really difficult. When he was on his Mormon mission, just the whole overall gelling of the team that was important through the early season that I think we've done a really good job getting through. You look at our 2 losses. I mean, there was just the Indiana debacle, which, whatever, it is what it is. Tough place to play, and you try to learn
And
from
a good
it.
team.
Yeah, and Indiana's good.
We're really good pro on it.
Yeah, and hanging with Kansas the way we did, playing the way we did, and going through a tough spell on offense.
There's the warning from Pat D double T. And I call him Pat D double T because I didn't know the names of a lot of officials, but his was one of the first that I learned. Steve Wilmer was my all-time favorite, by the way. But when I learned Pat Driscoll's name, it was because he called double technical fouls in 2 games of Marquette's. And he might have been on the team at some point for one of them. In like 2 consecutive games that he officiated for us, I'm like, isn't that the guy that called the double technical the last time he called one of our games? And then he called another one.
Really?
And then Pat D double T just stuck, and I was